Hello.
What's going on? Hello.
How are you? Oh my God, this is so weird.
Yes,
Like, cause
yes.
like, cause like, I'm sure when you meet a celebrity, you're like, oh, they don't exist. They're fictional, but you're a real life human being. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for having me. But like I said before, I don't think that I'm a celebrity, but thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So for those people who are oblivious to the planet, please introduce us to who you are.
Yeah, my name is Steve Royall. I am the creator of the channel Wait What Comedy. I do sketches. I try to do 2 to 3 sketches a week. Yeah, I used to be a comedian. And yeah, that's pretty much me.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So what made you fall in love with comedy?
Well, okay, so I would say I've always been um, into comedy as a kid, but not really. There was no interest to be a comedian or to even be an actor. Like when I was a kid, I thought I was going to go into law enforcement. So I was actually,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
that was my as a child, that was my career trajectory. Um, and what got me into comedy, well, okay, so first it started with acting. When I was at University of Maryland studying law, they were filming a movie on campus. And I went over to investigate, see what was going on. And they were like, yeah, we're filming a movie and we're looking for extras. And so I was an extra in this movie. And right then, the interest in law was gone. There was no more interest in law. And so when the semester ended, I moved to California to first pursue acting. And what got me into stand up was I was working at Tony Roma's, and one of my coworkers was taking a stand up comedy class. And
Hmm.
so he invited all of us. I went and checked it out, and he wasn't that great, but I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's what got me into the stand up. Yeah.
So is are your parents in law enforcement, your grandparents?
No, no, none. Yeah. It was just one of those things. I don't know. Like I I'm kind of like that guy who has like the S on his chest, where it's like I just gotta like save the day and all that stuff. So
Hmm.
and also I like to investigate, to solve things. Like I was always reading mystery books, always doing puzzles, anything where it was like trying to figure stuff out. So yeah.
Which is interesting because creating a script is kind of like a puzzle.
Yeah.
When you write your sketches, do you start from the beginning, middle, or the end?
So, uh, so the way I write my sketches, like I know a lot of comedians or content creators, they sit down and they write stuff. For me, it's more of if I'm out and maybe I see something, or like a thought pops into my mind, oh, that might be a funny idea for a sketch. I'll write the idea, and then I'll go back and try to figure out how to make this into a sketch.
Word. Okay. Um, so you went from stand-up comedian to creating your own sketches. What was that push to just be like, I'm just gonna do this on my own?
So yeah, so I did stand up for about 6 years, and I had a show. I used to go on the road, and I was an opener, so I would do like 20 minutes, 20 minute set for a headliner, and then they would perform. And what happened was, my friend who's a headliner was like, "I'm going to Korea to do comedy, and I need an opener. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we
Yeah.
went and we did the show for like the military. And I don't know if it was while I was there or when I came back, but I saw an article and they were talking about how like, web series and like, content creating is like the new calling card. Um, because for a while, a lot of comedians were using stand up to get like, like a sitcom uh, opportunity or something like that. And so, you know, I've been doing it for 6 years and I was on the road. And then I saw other comedians who had been doing it longer and who were doing bigger shows. I saw them not really getting those TV opportunities like people thought. They were doing a lot of shows, but they weren't really, you know, doing like TV or films. They were just doing stand-up comedy shows. And I like stand-up, but I never wanted to make it like a career. It was always like a stepping stone to something else. So when I saw that article about web series, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break from the stand-up. I'm gonna write a 10 episodes of a web series, and then I'll come back to stand-up. Well, those 10 episodes ended up being like 52 episodes. Yeah. And then I started doing other web series. I started doing the short things, and then, excuse me, and then I got into uh, when I was doing. It's so funny. I almost forget. When I was doing the web content, there were a couple of influencers. I'm not going to say names, but there were a couple of influencers back then who were doing Vines, and they were like, "Yo, you should, you know,
Oh yeah.
let's do some Vines together." And I never had an interest in doing Vines because I just didn't see. I was like, I don't see this being like, you know, the future. Like, I feel like the future is going to be longer content. So you know, I turned that down, and I was like, let's do some web series. And of course, they turned that down because they were like, nobody's going to sit there and watch a 10-minute, you know, episode. Cut to, you know, later, Vine, you know, goes out, and so Vine isn't popular anymore. Everybody's switching to Instagram. So I was right about that, you know, really short content not really going anywhere. But what I didn't factor in is the people who were doing those short form content videos were building an audience. So when they went to Instagram, they just took their
Um,
Vine following to Instagram. So they had like huge followings. And by the time I got on Instagram, I'm starting from scratch, and they have like hundreds of thousands or millions of followers right off the bat. So, uh, you know, that's one of my regrets. I wish I would have done those Vines with those guys, because I probably would have been way further than I am now.
but then I also feel like you're selling yourself short because this is something that I've been observing where it's like our attention span is so short, where like if anything's not at least 15 seconds that's interesting, like we like immediately keep scrolling, but like you have nailed it to a T, to the fact that we continue to watch your videos and we don't even look at like when it's going to end. It's kind of disappointing when it ends, actually. Is that something that you strategize? Like, well, what is your secret to keep people watching till the end?
Well, okay. So I would say no. That's a good question. That's a good question. So before, okay, so when I first started, I would have like a funny concept, and it was like, this is funny, and I would just put that out there. But now what I try to do is not just put out the funny concept. I also try to put in like, you know, funny moments every, you know, like a couple funny moments before you get the whole full picture. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes, you know, I get lazy, and, you know, there's a couple of videos that when I look back at them, like, oh, I should have did this. I should have did that. But
Mhm.
I don't really do the like detailed notes like how I used to do. Like if if I want to like have like the different comedy beats in a sketch, I would actually sit down and write it out. Uh, but yeah, sometimes I get a little lazy, and I'm just like, this idea is funny enough. You know, it'll be fine. So yeah, I think for 2022, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start going back to like the, you know, writing, and, you know, actually specifically putting in comedy beats so that it's even stronger than, you know, and it'll be more consistent.
Word, 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 word. I still can't stop thinking about the recent-ish one that you did of the good guy, and like you have the girls telling him how to treat the how to treat the girl, and he's like, this makes no sense, and they're like, yeah, like this is how you're gonna get her. Like that sketch was so funny because I'm like, this is so me. This is so the kind of guy I'm like, okay, so do you regret moving from Maryland to LA during this pandemic?
Well, I didn't move during the pandemic. I moved.
I know you didn't move during the pandemic, but like I know things have changed
Mhm.
since the pandemic in LA. Like
Oh,
at
I
least that's
see.
what people
I
are
see what you're
saying.
saying.
That's what they're advertising, that things are awful in LA right now. Everyone's shooting each other apparently. I don't know.
Well, okay. So I feel like across the country, attitudes have changed. Like people are really short tempered these days everywhere. Um, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's because people, have been in the house and now they forgot how to interact with people. And so
Huh.
now it's like,
Yeah.
any little thing sets them off, or if they're just not happy in their lives, and the pandemic just, amplified that feeling. So now they're just like live wires, just anything will set them off. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are stressed. For me, uh, yeah, well, okay. So the pandemic didn't really bother me that much because I'm kind of like I would consider myself like an extroverted introvert. So being in the house by myself, I mean, I was watching movies. I'm on like the computer. I'm catching up on Netflix shows. So for me, I I was fine with me. Now, one thing that I will say that I wish I didn't do was, so there's like I don't know if you guys have Ralph's grocery store where you're at, but here the grocery store is Ralph's, and they were doing great sales on ice cream and cookies, and so I loaded up. Like I was up in the, oh my god. So they had it like, yeah, it was like Ben and Jerry's. Like if you bought like five of them, they were normally, a pint of Ben and Jerry's was like, I don't know, $4.99. But if you bought like five of them, they were like $3 each. So I was like, loading up my cart. Everyone else is like getting healthy alternatives, and I'm like, yo, Chips Ahoy, what? It's on sale? Bam, let me get that. So I was already trying to lose weight, right? I was at 220 trying to lose weight because I'm supposed to be I went to go get a checkup, and the doctor's like, yeah, you should be 200 pounds, like between 190 200. So I was at 220 then when he said that. When the pandemic hit and I was buying like ice cream and all that stuff, my weight jumped from 200 to I'm at 250 right now.
But you're tall.
I'm like 5'11", but I
That's tall.
still should not be 250 though.
Okay,
So
I
yeah.
heard that. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, let me work on that. So yeah, so the pandemic didn't bother me like, mentally, but yeah, I was like staying up late. I was like eating ice cream. So I wasn't all stressed out, but yeah, I definitely got lazy, and yeah, I got to get out of all that stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How do you create believable dialogue? Because your dialogue is very conversational. It doesn't seem like the whole like staged kind of thing.
Mhm.
So how do you create that?
Okay. So so this goes back to when I did so the web series that I was talking about that I started doing, where it was like the 52 episodes. So and I had never seen Curb Your Enthusiasm at all, but I had
You're
this
so like
idea.
very much so like curb your enthusiasm.
Yes. So basically, what I did when I started that web series is I wrote the outline, and I wrote like what the actors had to say, um, generally, but
Mm-hmm.
I let them put their my lines in their, how they would say it. So it's like in their voice. So yeah, so it was cool because then the actors are, like I would say a line, and then the actors would would react to my line like how they would. And so we would do a couple of takes, and then I would just make adjustments. So I'd be like, okay, excuse me, I like that part. Maybe instead of saying that, say this. And then, we make adjustments on the fly. And so that's how we were able to like keep it where it's like fresh. And by doing that, because I try to bring in like some really talented, people and really funny people. And so sometimes people will say something that I didn't even think about. And I'm like, yo, that was funny. Use that line, say that line. So I know a lot of like people who do the writing, they're very specific about, oh, this is the line, you have to say it this way.
Yeah.
And I just think like if you have talented, improv trained actors who can maybe bring something to the table that maybe you didn't think of, I'm all for it. So yeah, no egos here. I've had people come up with, I'll have a line and someone will come with something funnier, and I'm like, yo, let's do that. And if people and like, if I post a video and people are like, oh my gosh, look, like that line was hilarious. I'm like, I thought so too. I didn't come up with it. Such and such came up with. Like, I have no problem like giving the credit to whoever came with the, funnier line.
True, true, true. So how many projects have you thrown away?
Projects that I've thrown away? What do you mean? Like something that
Yeah.
I wrote and I threw it away?
Yeah.
I don't think I've thrown anything away. I always say,
Really?
sure, because I mean, like I may have an idea for something now, and then maybe, I haven't figured out how to make it come to fruition at that time, but maybe a couple years later, I can revisit that and I'll be like, oh, I have an idea of how to flesh this project out. So, no, I would never throw something away because you just never know. Because when you come back to something a couple years later, you're coming back to it with fresh eyes. So,
Yeah.
maybe you see something that you didn't see the first time.
Okay. Okay. You don't realize what you told me to do, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay.
Good, good.
Um. So, how do you think the Joker would react if he had legal issues?
Wait, how do I say that again?
How do you think the Joker would react if he had legal issues, like if the IRS came to his house or something?
The Joker?
Yeah.
I don't think he would. Well, if the IRS went to his house, I would not want to be part of that IRS group going to the Joker's house because who knows what diabolical schemes or situation he has for us. So I think that would be bad. That would end badly for whoever showed up at his doorstep.
Right. Okay. So you remember when MTV and BET used to like have music videos and like TRL and 106 in Park, whatever, whatever. Um, do you think that if they brought that back now, do you think they would be as successful, for lack of better phrasing, minus the reality TV shows?
Uh, Maybe. I mean, music videos. I think people still would want to watch music videos, and
On TV rather than on YouTube?
sure, because I feel like when they had TRL, they would bring sometimes they would bring the artists up there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think people would want to listen to what the artist has to say. So yeah, sure. I don't see why not.
So do you think that with web series and sketches
Hmm.
that are so popular and so like easily accessible online, you don't really need cable in your house. You don't really need a TV in your house. What do you think is the incentive to have a comedy TV show right now?
Well, okay, so sure, people can be making web series, but you gotta find the audience, and I feel like it's it's a little more difficult when you don't have like a network behind you, you know, um, doing commercials and promoting your stuff. So, I mean, yeah, there's some people who I guess I don't know, some people are probably buying ads to, promote their own work online. I don't do that. Maybe I should, but
You don't need to. You don't need to.
well, okay. So before the pandemic started, I had 17,000 followers, and it
Uh-huh.
was like going up. When the pandemic hit, I wasn't shooting any sketches, and my audience just went down. Like it went from 17, and it was like large chunks of audience were leaving. Like
Uh-huh.
a large amount of followers were leaving. It would be like, I would go to bed and then wake up and it'd be like, oh, I lost like 60, 70 followers. Like, whoa, okay.
Jeez.
Right.
Wow.
Like they were leaving in droves. I was like, what did I do? Like, uh, yes, I was like, oh, I see. Pandemic or no pandemic, I better be cranking out some videos because people are like, yo, we need to see some content. So yeah, I had to get back out there. But yeah, I feel like yeah, I know that there's like a lot of people creating web series, but I mean, I don't know all of them because again, they don't have, the advertising money behind it to grow it. So yeah, I definitely think I know for me, like the goal is to create like some web content that someone sees and is interested in putting it on TV. Yeah, I know there's like I haven't seen it, but someone was telling me there's a sketch comedy show on, I don't know, maybe HBO or something. It's like an all girls sketch show.
It's okay.
Yeah, but the fact that they got it on
It's
TV
all right.
though, I mean, I don't know what they
Yeah, no,
did, but
yeah.
yeah.
But like that also shows you like that anyone can be on TV because like the cable companies are so desperate to get anything on TV.
Hey, let me tell you, if I could get, oh my gosh, let me tell you, if I could even, if I could get like seen and some general interest from those networks to do something, it would be game over. Oh my gosh, yeah. So
True, true, true. Um, 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 um. This is kind of. I feel like I'm just like. Okay, I'm just gonna ask. I'm just gonna ask it. Do you think that we, as a people and as artists, are doing a good job of working together?
no, no.
Why?
Well, okay. So it's so funny you should ask this question. So I used to be in because I'm in SAG, so I'm a SAG is Screen Actors Guild. So
Oh my God! What?
yeah,
Congratulations!
it's not that big of a deal. It's
Oh
so so I as a SAG actor, SAG they do this random drawing where certain members get to be part of like the voting group. It's the FYC for your consideration group. And so there was one year I actually got to be part of the FYC group. So the FYC group is basically the group who they go to different screenings, like all of them, and then they are the ones who are deciding what the actors get to vote between. And the cool thing about going to the for your consideration things is you actually get to meet the actors who are on the show because they're basically trying to campaign to get you to pick their show to be voted for by the other actors. So anyway, so I got to go to Insecure screening with Issa Rae, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and it was like Issa Rae and a couple of the actresses. And one thing that Issa said that was really something that I've always believed in, she was like saying how like actors need to network across instead of trying to
Yeah.
network up because a lot of people what they do is they'll see, oh well, this person is successful, let me try to latch on to that person. And there's like people on their same level that if they oh, let's work together, and then maybe those people can elevate each, with each other. But people don't think that way. And and it's so funny because even when she said that, I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I see other people like, yeah, I agree. Okay. But then what happened is, after the thing, I would try to talk to people who were in the audience who were on the same level, and you can just tell they're like, like, does this person, how many phone calls? I mean, how many followers do you have? Oh, well, I have 30,000 followers. You only have 15. I'm more important than you. And I'm like, no, you're not. So I don't. There's no one's like better than or worse than somebody. It's like, yeah, we're all trying to like ultimately get to a higher level. But yeah, people don't see it that way. So they'll just say, oh yeah, we should do that with the higher level person. And so yeah, for me, like I work with people who have more followers. I work with people who have less followers. Like I don't really care how many followers you have. Is this person funny or not? That's all I care about. If we're gonna be doing comedy
Yeah.
sketches, if they're funny, maybe you don't have as big of an audience, but you're funny, yo, let's work together. I don't care. It's like you can look at some of my videos, you'll see. If you just look at the people who I've worked with, you'll see, yeah, not a lot of them have as many followers. But I don't care because they're funny. And so that's all I care about.
That's awesome that you do that, that you're so open-minded to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it rude if I ask you how old you are? Because I'm
Oh
very
my gosh, it's
confused.
so rude.
Because
So
the
rude.
timeline
I
doesn't
hate
make
that
sense.
question.
Because you look like you're 20, but
Okay.
then you're like college, and then it's like Insecure when it first came out. It's like the timeline doesn't make. Are you 80 or are you 20?
I'm between 80 and 20. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the thing is, like, it's so funny. It's like, so the reason I used to be like, oh, I don't care and say my age. But then what happened is, I I did that with my agent. And then my agent started sending me out for different roles, like older roles. And I'm like, and so I would go to these auditions and I'm like the youngest looking person in there. And I'm like, wait, why am I here? Like, like, and so after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say my age anymore. And I know there's a lot of other actors and actresses, they don't say their age. And I'm just like, now I see why. Yeah.
That's so funny that you say that because I know that I look young,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so frustrating when people like talk down to me. And it's like, no, I'm actually been on this planet longer than you. I've lived through at least 5 presidents,
Mm,
so like,
that's
like don't talk to
absurd.
me like that, you
Yes, yes, of
know?
course. Yeah.
Okay. So please tell us where we can like you, stalk you, follow you, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so my channel is very simple. It's wait what comedy? Like wait what? And then comedy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm,
And then last question. I always ask a selfish question at the end. Forgive me. Um, so I'm working on a show right now, and I find myself getting very flustered
mhm.
with my team. So how do you be patient with your actors?
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking
Sure.
about.
Well, okay. So for me, I mean I've definitely bumped heads with some actors for sure.
No.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say it depends. Okay. So if I'm doing because it's two different answers. So if I'm doing sketches and let's say I'm doing a sketch and I'm bumping heads with like an actor or actress, I'll just be like, okay, cool. And then when the day is over, that day is done, and I just never call that person in again. It is what it is, cool. Keep it moving. There's way too many actors in this world who want to work that I don't need to like stress myself out and deal with like someone who's like a headache. So yeah, I just keep it moving. Now if it's like a web series, that's longer and more episodes, or like in the case of because I just shot my first feature this past summer. Yeah. And so that's in post production now. And, me and like the lead actress, we bumped heads. And then there was another actor who we kind of bumped heads, but we bumped heads before production started. Basically, what happened was I shot this movie, and well, I had a rehearsal for this movie, and
Mm.
we had the rehearsal in the park. Two reasons. One, because I didn't have a location. This was during the pandemic, so it was like not a lot of places to go, and I
Yeah.
was like, well, people didn't really know too much about the COVID. So I wanted to be outdoors, so everyone's getting fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Following the rules.
right. And so this actor, he showed up, and he's looking at me like, and it was just me by myself. Like I didn't have a team. I didn't have like an AD, PAs, all that. It was literally me and the actors. And so I could tell that this guy is like looking at me like, this black guy is about to make a feature by himself, and he's doing this all, this project is going to be garbage, right? And
Yeah.
so, he just had like a funky attitude, I'm better than you type attitude, and I could just feel it, right? But I'm thinking, we'll just deal with it, whatever. I don't really care as long as I'm, because he fit the role perfectly. And so I was like, I'll just, work with him, and as long as we get the project done, I don't care. So we had the rehearsal, he had the attitude, and then I was thinking about like just saying, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna deal with this. And before I could do that, he actually sent me an email, and he was just like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. I'm gonna have to bow out of the project. And to be honest, I don't think that your film is gonna go anywhere.
He
Yeah,
didn't say
like,
that.
yeah, he said
No,
that.
he didn't.
Yeah, oh, big time, right? And so when he said it, I was like, oh. I mean, I was like a little bit taken aback because I was like, well, yeah, I was thinking about dropping this guy, but ultimately I was like, maybe I'll work with him. But when he did that, I was like, oh, it was perfect because when I really thought about it, it was one character. Because what happened was, long story short, there were two actors that I liked. I couldn't decide between the two. And so I basically reworked the script so that I could fit this other person in,
Mm-hmm.
the other guy. And because I like that guy and I like the other guy. But when that guy wrote that email, it was perfect because then I could just go back to the original script and just use the four actors that I had originally had anyway. So it was cool. And so yeah, so that was that guy. And then with the actress, like we just bumped heads because she didn't like the way that I was like, running the set. And also because people were thinking, again, where is this guy's crew? Like he doesn't
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
crew. It was literally just me. I didn't have the money for a crew. And so right away people are thinking, if you're shooting a feature, you need a crew. And if
Yeah.
you don't have a crew, and there are a lot of people with crews and without who they make films, the films are
All the time.
terrible. Yeah, the films are terrible, or the films never come out and the actors never see it. So people right away, they're like, yeah, this is some, I don't know if I can curse here, but this is some BS. And so I can just feel that energy. So yeah, we really bumped heads toward the end. Fortunately, I had enough to, shoot the film. There were some scenes that I wanted. It was just like, it is what it is. I got the film done. I'll never have to work with that actress again. And just keep it moving.
Just keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, also, so the reason why it's like that, where it's just like, where when I said with the sketches, where, the actor was a problem and I just knew, don't bring that guy in, versus with the actress, because we were doing the film. In both cases, especially with the actress, it was one of those things where I had to, because she was giving me problems throughout the whole thing. It just
Oh,
culminated toward the
Jesus.
end where it was just like a big problem. But I had to, like, I really couldn't say too much because I wasn't paying the actors. It was all deferred
Yeah,
pay.
yeah.
So I say that to say, when I'm in a position where I'm paying the people, oh my gosh, it'll be zero tolerance for the BS. I'll be like, what? You know, you're fired. Like, I'm paying. You know, you're on a contract. You got to do it this way. And if there's an issue, you know, blah, 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 tough. Yeah. When I'm paying, oh, yeah, it's going to be totally different. But when I'm not paying, I have to, like, you know, weigh it like, well, you know, is this a situation where I can do this without this person? Or should I just tolerate it and, you know, just keep it moving?
Okay. Thank you for the advice.
Oh, yeah. Well, are you in a situation where you have some issues with some people?
Yeah. Several plural issues.
Have you started shooting yet?
It's a stage play.
Have you started doing the play yet?
Rehearsing, yes. But I haven't had the whole cast together at all yet. This is week 3.
Okay. Wait. Okay. So you guys haven't even done
I
rehearsals
literally
yet.
I don't know who's in the cast. Because, like, people just keep, like, showing up whenever they want to.
Oh, no. You got to nip that in the bud real quick because that's a problem.
That's a problem, right?
Oh,
Like, am
yeah.
I being rude?
No, no, no.
And
That's
so
a
I'm trying to
huge
practice
problem.
empathy because I know that we're all busy. But, like, why would you sign up for something if you're busy?
Right. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, you got to nip that in the bud real quick. I would just be like, I would just have to, I would contact these actors directly and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to need you to show up on this time at this, you know, whatever. If you don't think you can commit, let me know. I have another actor or actress who's interested, whether you do or not. And then let them decide, do they want to do it or do you have to find another actor? But no, it's only been 3 weeks. So it's early enough where you can look for a replacement. Yeah, because that's going to be a problem. It's going to be worse once you start the show. So yeah, nip that in the bud real quick.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Oh yeah, no problem.
This has been so relaxing, for lack of better phrasing. You
Okay.
know? But I mean, I'm obviously, like I said, like a huge, huge, huge fan of you. So this is like one of the highlights of my year.
Oh,
Thank you
hey,
so
thank
much
you.
for talking with me.
Sure.
And then, yeah, we'll stay in contact, I hope.
Yes, of course.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Have a good day.
All right. Oh, that was easy. All right, cool.
Okay,
All right,
yeah.
well, thank you.
Bye.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
All right.